For just the 10th time in franchise history, there's playoff football today in Baltimore. And for the first time, it's against our biggest rival. It's Wild Card Weekend, and it's an AFC North showdown at M&T Bank Stadium between your back-to-back division champion Baltimore Ravens and the Pittsburgh Steelers. It's prime time at the bank. Ravens legends are in the house. There's a stadium light show throughout the night. It's going to be electric for this win or go home game. Welcome into Pregame Live, presented by Caesars Sportsbook. I'm Shelby Lasso, and he's my partner, two-time Super Bowl champion, Torrey Smith. And Torrey, Ravens took care of business last weekend against the Browns, won the AFC North title for the second year in a row, and now we're here at home as the number 3 seed hosting the wild card game. And the Ravens and the Steelers have faced off 62 times before, including 4 times in the playoffs, but they have never met in the postseason here at M&T Bank Stadium. What's the atmosphere going to be like tonight?
Oh, it's going to be crazy out there. I tell people all the time, when I became a Raven, when it was 16 games, I felt like if we went 2-14, but we beat the Steelers twice, that was all that mattered. Now you had the opportunity to play for all the marbles to get on to the next round. It's going to be electric. Look, driving in, watching the fans in the tailgates. There are a lot of Steelers fans here as well, so I'm looking forward to watching a really good. I told myself I'm even going to sneak out and see what it's like to sit in the crowd and see what the elements are like a little bit, because again, it's wartime. We don't like them, they don't like us, and it's to get to the next round, and I'm excited about it.
And that's dedication for Torrey, because this guy does not like the cold, and
at all.
It is cold here tonight in Baltimore. So way to go, Torrey.
Hey, I
said
that, though. We'll have to see.
That's true.
I'll see how long I last out there.
Well, coming into this game, Ravens have won 4 straight. Steelers have lost 4 straight. Ravens outscored their opponents in that stretch by 92. Meanwhile, the Steelers were outscored by 52. How important is momentum when it comes time for the playoffs?
Momentum means everything. I say it all the time. The best team doesn't always win the Super Bowl. The hottest team does. And what I mean by that is you have the whole journey of the season. There's times where you're playing your best ball early on, and then at the end of the year, you want to be rolling. That's why I never panicked. You heard me here every week on this show. Like, it doesn't matter. Keep rolling. You want to play your best ball towards the end of the season, because that's when the momentum really matters. Everything is to get to this point. You've earned your seeding. You know where you are. Now, this Ravens team, obviously, they're going in 2 different directions. And while I would like to say trends mean everything, it is a little nerve-wracking when it comes to playing a divisional opponent, because the Steelers and Ravens know each other. It's like the ugly brothers, right? Yeah. In terms of built the same, and everything they stand for is really the same, right? And I'm saying that in a respectful way to the Pittsburgh Steelers and how they go about their business. But football-wise, they're trending in different directions. But in a rivalry game, you have to throw all the trends out the window. But the way this Ravens team is playing, momentum-wise, the way Lamar is locked in, the way this defense is playing, I have a hard time believing they're not going to continue to roll today.
Yeah, I talked to ball hawk Michael Pierce this week, and he said playing the Steelers for the 3rd time in 8 weeks is like growing up and playing the neighborhood kids. You see them every day. Everyone knows everyone, and it's going to come down to execution. So when you look at this matchup, again, Ravens have won 4 straight. Steelers have lost 4 straight. Ravens are ranked in the top in a lot of categories. Steelers, not so much, but like you said, throw this out the window, because this is an AFC North game. When it's a win or go home game against your biggest rival, what are these players feeling heading into this game?
It's just all about execution. You know, you hear it, it sounds like coach talk when they're talking about one play at a time, worry about the next game. But the reality of it is that's what it boils down to. With this Baltimore Ravens team, they have the ability to be as dominant as they want to, and they've proven that versus some of the best teams in the league. And when you go out there and you play and you execute the way you're supposed to, that's when you have that high standard that people in Baltimore have been spoiled by having over the years. When you have Lamar Jackson, who, by the way, is going to get his 3rd MVP, and also you have the defense playing the way they are. You got to think earlier in the year, the defense was struggling. Yeah. That is no longer the case. Everyone's clicking. Coming out of that bye week, everyone knows exactly what this team does well, and they've all bought in. I think Coach Harbaugh deserves a lot of credit for what he's done getting these boys ready to play, and tonight is going to be an electric one right here in the bank.
Fans, one more time, MV3? Well, unfortunately, Lamar Jackson will be without wide receiver 1 Zay Flowers tonight, but really, we knew that coming into this game. It's not a big surprise, and luckily, that's the only major Raven that we won't see tonight. So no Zay Flowers is significant, but with that, let's send it down to the third member of our broadcast, Garrett Downing. And Garrett, this has been a pick-your-poison offense all year. How's this home team feeling heading into a game without Pro Bowl wide receiver Zay Flowers?
Well, there's no doubt that the impact of Zay Flowers is significant. I mean, he's one of the best wide receivers in the entire league. He proved that this year, going over 1,000 yards and making that Pro Bowl for the first time. So you prefer to have him on the field. There's no question about that, but that's not the case for the Ravens. He went down with that knee injury last week in the regular season finale. And so as I look at this offense for tonight's game, I think the Ravens are going to spread out the distribution in terms of trying to offset the loss of their top pass catcher. So of course there's going to be more on Rashad Bateman, who's going to step into that wide receiver #1 role tonight, but it's not just going to be on Bateman. I'm really looking at the tight ends, both Isaiah Likely and, of course, Mark Andrews as two targets who are going to see a large number of the target share from Lamar Jackson in tonight's game. Part of the advantage of the Ravens offensively is that they have so many different options. Of course, they want to run the ball, and I think they're going to want to get both those tight ends and Andrews and Likely on the field together. That allows them to be successful in the running game because it's a bigger package, but they're also matchup problems for the Steelers linebackers, and they can go up against defensive backs and still make plays in that secondary. One other note on the injury front is for the Ravens is that Justice Hill is back in the lineup. He missed the last 2 games. He's a really important piece, of course, behind Derrick Henry as a third down back who can make plays out of the backfield. He is back in the lineup, and he's ready to roll. I think he's an important piece for this offense. And then for the Steelers, they're a much healthier team compared to where they were the last time these two teams faced off. They were dealing with a bunch of injuries in that game. Safety Deshaun Elliott did not play in that game, a former Raven. He's back. Joey Porter Jr. went down with an injury in that game. He's back in the lineup. So it's a healthier Steelers team. But one player who is not playing tonight for Pittsburgh is their starting guard, Mason McCormick. He was kind of expected to test it out with a broken hand, but he's not able to play tonight. So I do wonder if the Ravens defensive front, maybe Nnamdi Madubuike, the Pro Bowler, is going to have an opportunity there to get into the backfield and make life hard on that Steelers offense.
Garrett, thanks so much. And fans, like we said, it's wild card weekend here at M&T Bank Stadium. Let's take a look at what other AFC action is happening around the league. Right now, we currently have the Texans and the Chargers. Texans are up 20-6. And Tori, when you look at this AFC playoff picture, the Ravens faced every AFC playoff team in the regular season, beat all of them except Kansas City by a toe, and one loss to the Steelers. Against the Bills, Texans, Chargers, Broncos, and Steelers, the Ravens put up over 30 points in those games and outscored those opponents 171-62. But it hasn't been all clear sailing for the Ravens. They started this season off 0-2. They ended with 5 losses. How battle-tested is this Ravens team for a playoff run?
Oh, the team is ready for it. You know, you talk about building your character over the course of the year. You needed those opportunities where your defense was struggling, right? When you feel like you have it all figured out, that's when problems happen, right? So this team knows that they can win by running the ball and dominating the game. They know they can win with Lamar throwing the ball. They know they can win with the defense making the play when they need it the most. This team is battle-tested, and again, we felt like that over the years, but this season has really been unique in that way because now you're talking about a team that has 9 Pro Bowl players, with the majority of them being on defense, and if someone would have said that week 4 of this season, a lot of people would have been surprised by that. So this team has done a great job of sticking with the men in the building, trusting and believing in their talent, just going out here and proving that they can get it done.
Well, the list of All-Pros, AP All-Pros, came out yesterday. Ravens have 4 first-team All-Pros. That's tied for most in the NFL. Lamar Jackson, Roquan Smith, Marlon Humphrey, and Pat Ricard getting his first nod. What does that say about this Ravens team? 4 first-team All-Proers, 2 made the second team, and 9 Pro Bowlers.
I mean, it just goes to show about the evaluation process. I think Eric DeCosta and his team has done a great job of building talent with this team. It's been a traditional thing over the years. I think a lot of people admire the way the Baltimore Ravens go about their business. But the reality of it is the secret to this team's success is the fact that they are able to find homegrown talent, the fact that they are able to bring in pieces, stealing pieces like Roquan Smith for a second-round pick and make them fit into this culture. They have a really good job of identifying folks that play like Ravens, and Coach Harbaugh does a great job as a coach of letting his guys be themselves. And I think you're able to see that they're going out there, they're having fun, they're making plays. And, again, the talent is on both sides of the ball, and that's the reason why they're one of the top teams in the league. Yeah. This team can beat anyone on any given day, right? And this team can be as dominant as it wants to be, or it can struggle as much as it wants to. But this is a team that really has the ability to control its own destiny.
Well, fans, we're going to take a quick break, but coming up next, your 2024 first-team All-Pro quarterback, Lamar Jackson, will take the field. You won't want to miss it. We'll be right back.
There's no better place to parlay than Caesars Sportsbook. Parlay Builder gives you all the game day action from all across the league. Multiple games, legs, and props, all in one spot. It's so quick and easy, you can keep your focus on the games and your nachos. Or if you're focusing on one game, remember, you can place your same game parlays live during the action. Caesars Sportsbook, the only sportsbook app with Caesars rewards.
So what's next?
We have innovations at 2:30.
Excuse me, what's going on over here?
Nothing.
I love it.
Boss, I've got a lot of nothing to see over here.
You're good for nothing, and don't ever forget it.
We're America's #1 producer of clean, reliable energy with 0 emissions.
That's why I want to thank you all for nothing.
All achieved with wind, hydro, solar, and the nation's largest nuclear fleet.
And that's a big nothing burger with cheese. I can hear the laughing.
Oh, I hear nothing.
Some of the brightest stars in the NFL began their journey here, the College All-Star Games.
Justin Herbert. McLaurin, caught!
And they're only on NFL Network.
Russell Wilson steps to the line of scrimmage. Josh Allen, unbelievable!
Get an early glimpse of greatness as these NFL hopefuls look to make a name for themselves.
No, this is what I was meant to do.
Mayfield, touchdown! Glad McConkey, welcome to the NFL!
The College All-Star Games starts January 30th on NFL Network.
Pregame Live is brought to you by Caesars Sportsbook, the official sportsbook of the Baltimore Ravens. Fans, we are now joined by 5-time Pro Bowler, 2-time All-Pro, Super Bowl champion, and Ravens Ring of Honor member, Haloti Ngata. And Haloti, back in around the time of the draft, you were there, the 2024 draft, and you stepped on stage with your 2 sons to announce the 93rd pick. And what was said?
How I raised my boys, my boys are raised in their lives, and obviously they're raised to say Steelers suck always, and so that's how it goes.
So Haloti, tell us, how do you really feel about the team the Ravens are facing today?
I love this game so much. It's my favorite game. Every time I played here in Baltimore, it's my favorite game to play all the time, because you know it's going to be like smash mouth football, and that's the way I love to play. And you know, I'm hoping they run the ball so I can like smash the running back, and I just love this game so much, and it just brings back so many memories. And so coming back here and watching this game is just gets me excited, and my whole family gets excited. And so they obviously don't like the Steelers, and so that's how they're going to be, you know, known for the rest of their lives as Steelers suck.
Yeah. Do you wish you could suit up and go out there tonight?
I mean, I'm kind of old right now.
No.
One play maybe.
When you think about this rivalry itself, you've been a part of some really good games with them. What's your one favorite game or favorite Steelers-Ravens memory?
I mean, anytime you beat the Steelers, it's awesome. But, like, going there for a playoff game and winning them or beating them in the playoffs, it's always great because then you know their season ends and you get to continue on. So, like, that just makes you feel good. So, like, my last year here in 2014, we played them in the playoffs in the wild card, and we went there and beat them. So it's always those memories of like ending the team season, and especially if it's the Steelers season, like ending their season, it's always awesome.
You mentioned it. You went there your last year here. I believe you played the Steelers 3 times in the postseason. What's different about when it's a rival and it's win or go home? Just the added intensity.
Well, yeah, like I said, like it's gonna like you're ending their season.
Yeah.
So when it's your rival, it's just that much more like excitement and like pressure and everything that goes with that. Their feeling of playing your rival. You add it on in the playoffs. It's just more exciting, more fun, more everything. But to be able to end a season, your rival season, it's great.
I talked to Michael Pierce this week, and he said the same thing. When he expects this game to be intense, these games are always chippy. But how do you manage your emotions and keep your cool out there when it is your most hated rival?
Yeah, obviously just one play at a time, and just what you're always just known to, or what you practice to do, and what you're known to do, and just playing it one play at a time. Good plays are going to happen, bad plays are going to happen, and hopefully you end up on top and winning more of those battles than you don't, and your team wins.
Well, speaking of Michael Pierce, did you see his INT last weekend?
Yeah, I was a little upset with the big man taking a knee. Usually you don't see big men take knees, and but the game was over and they won, and I love it how athletic he looked, and obviously it's always fun to see a big man get an interception. I just would want to see him run over somebody before he went down or something,
Well, Haloti, everyone doesn't have rugby highlights of being big athletes running people over. Y'all need to do yourself a favor, go look up Haloti's YouTube rugby highlights. That's why he's saying that. But Haloti, having the opportunity to be here, obviously you're here all the time now. When you think about your legacy and what you've been able to accomplish here, what does it mean to you just simply being here and this is always being home for you?
Yeah, that's like I said, every time I come here, I see all my old friends, my neighbors, and people that helped me grow here and build a family. Like I had 3 of my boys here, 3 out of my 4 boys born in Baltimore. So it's like I feel like they're Marylandians, and I feel like I'm adopted in there, but my boys are from Maryland. So it's like it's fun to come back and then be here and be home. And so it's always just home away from home when I come back.
I want to go back really quick to Michael Pierce's interception because if I recall, you had an interception in your first game as a rookie, 60-yard return.
Yeah.
What's the feeling like as a guy who, it's surprising when a D lineman gets the ball like that. What do you remember about that moment?
I remember being tired, like at like 30 yards, and I had to run even more after that.
Woo.
I was actually looking for somebody to pitch it to, and all the fast dudes passed me. I'm like, no, you guys take the ball. Like, I don't want this ball anymore. I can't run anymore. But they got in front of me and blocked enough for me to get 60 yards, and then I ran out of gas and ran out of bounds.
Well, I asked Michael Pierce, and he said, no, I was just laughing so hard. I just had to go down. There was no way I could have kept going.
Yeah, that's probably true, too. Yeah, it's tough being a big guy trying to run that far.
Haloti, what have been your thoughts on the big fellas up front this year? The defense obviously started off a little bit slower earlier on in the season, but they're really finding their groove. What are your thoughts on this front?
It's fun to watch it now. Like, you're always questioned in the beginning of the season, like how our defense was doing. They weren't doing, Raven defense, and it kind of reminded me of our year when we won the Super Bowl. Our offense was, slow starting, but like got hot when we needed to right before the playoffs, and then they stayed hot the whole time through the playoffs. And I feel like our defense is doing that same thing. Our offense is great, obviously, this year with our guys, our weapons, and Lamar, but our defense is hot right at the end of the season, doing really well. And then they just have to continue it on through the playoffs, and hopefully they can continue to do well and then, help each other get to the Super Bowl.
Well, Haloti, I know I've asked you this question before, but listen, the story's just too good, so heck, I'm going to ask you about it again. What happened to Big Ben's nose back in 2010?
I was rushing the lineman, and my hand accidentally went into his face mask and broke his nose. But no, that was a stunt we had, Terrell Suggs and I was actually just swimming the guy, and it actually came right down on Ben's nose and ended up making a new nose for him.
That's one way to put it.
Yeah. Right. Well, you're looking on the screen right now, Haloti. You see Lamar Jackson, a guy who is now the MVP favorite for his 3rd in a row. What have been your thoughts on watching Lamar this season?
He's so amazing. Like, I cannot stop, boasting about this guy. He's just, you think, okay, last year MVP was like, oh, there's no way he can get any better. And now this year he's like even better. You're like, this guy just wants to win so bad, wants to win a Super Bowl, and you know he does. And by his off-season workouts and his continue working hard throughout the season. And so it's so fun to watch this guy and have my boys be big fans of Lamar. And so it's just fun to be a Raven fan now and just to have such a great quarterback to cheer for.
Well, Lamar Jackson had a historic season, but this offense in general, what a historic year. First team in NFL history with 4,000 yards through the air, 3,000 yards on the ground, over 7,200 total yards on offense. That's a franchise record. Like I said, historic. How does this Ravens offense fare against defenses here in the playoffs?
I mean, they're going to do well. It's honestly like on our offense, like how well they're going to do, because they can basically go down, drive anytime they want, make plays wherever they want. They can run it, they can pass it. With Lamar's arm, it's been great to watch him. His throws have been amazing this year, and then watching the King run down the friggin' throat, and then it's just like, who are you going to stop? And so it's just fun to watch these guys. And so to me, it's like nobody can stop them. When they're on, and we can go all the way to the Super Bowl with these guys.
Yeah, you mentioned the King, and when we talk about historic years, well, he's another guy who had a great 2024 season, led Baltimore's top-ranked rushing attack, and Derrick Henry's most recent playoff win was right here at M&T Bank Stadium exactly 5 years ago. He ran for nearly 200 yards in that game, and unfortunately, Ravens fans might remember he even threw a touchdown pass in that game. But guess what? He's on our side now. Like you said, this team can make a run, but looking at Derrick Henry in particular, what kind of impact can he have on a Super Bowl run?
Huge. When you can run the ball when it's cold and then late in the season, like nobody's going to want to touch you. Like it's such a huge plus for us when being on Baltimore, and that we can run whenever we want. But then you got to worry about Lamar running, and you got to worry about Lamar passing, and you got to worry about everything else. And so it's so big for us to have Derrick on our team and to be able to soften up defenses when they want.
Yeah. Well, this Ravens tight end room produced a league-high total 18 receiving touchdowns. Mark Andrews right there has scored a receiving touchdown in 6 straight games. That's a franchise record that also ties an NFL record, so he could break that tonight with a TD grab. And Isaiah Likely had career highs in every major receiving category. With no Zay Flowers tonight, how do you think Todd Monken will use the tight ends?
I think it's going to be huge. And obviously, Lamar loves using his tight ends, and it's great to have Likely and
Charlie Kohler.
Yeah. Those guys are just so amazing to be there and be that security for Lamar when they need him, and it's great to see them when there's a scramble move around and find that open spot. It's so fun to watch those guys know and understand Lamar and what kind of player he is, and how if they just can get open from Lamar, we'll find him and he'll get them the ball. So it's a lot of fun to watch these guys, and it's just, I don't know how you stop these guys.
Yeah. Well, in Week 16, Mark Andrews had his first ever career touchdown against the Steelers. So maybe the floodgates have opened. Let's manifest a Mark Andrews touchdown tonight. Okay, Haloti, final predictions. It's Ravens-Steelers. Winner goes on, loser goes home. What you thinking? How you feeling?
I think the Ravens are going to go big and beat them pretty big today.
Woo!
There we go. Speaking to existence.
Fans like that one. All right, Haloti. Well, thank you so much for joining us, and enjoy tonight's game.
Thanks for having me. It's great to be here.
All right, fans, coming up next, more warm-ups from the field. We'll be right back.
As a pro athlete with type 1 diabetes, I know that life can get busy. Your health is a top priority, and we're here to help. The Baltimore Ravens, GEHA, and Novo Nordisk are committed to the overall wellness of the flock. Through awareness and education, the Purple Ticket to Health program provides resources that empower our community to take action towards a healthier lifestyle. Start your wellness journey by completing a short assessment and get the chance to win great Ravens prizes. Score your Purple Ticket today.
J.O., let me get that.
Good luck.
You know I got this.
Jimmy Smith, you know, sometimes you just need a good set of hands. Thanks for the help, guys.
We loosen it for her.
Definitely.
Play Ravens Scratch-Offs, and you could win Pass for Cash with the help of a Ravens legend, or win up to $200,000 instantly.
Love this? Then you'll really like this. Because it leads to this. While this leads to this, and this. 100% verified NFL tickets, only from Ticketmaster. Take it to the house, every time. Ticketmaster, official marketplace of the NFL.
It's Wild Card Weekend here in Baltimore, and for the first time ever, the Ravens and the Steelers are meeting in the postseason here at M&T Bank Stadium. It's division foes facing off in the playoffs. Winner goes on, loser goes home and has their season end, and I know we are hoping it's going to be the Ravens who continue on with their Super Bowl run here tonight. And we just talked with Ravens legend Haloti Ngata about the king, Derrick Henry, and the impact he can have in a game like this. He led Baltimore's rushing attack this year, produced the NFL's second most ground yards and most rushing touchdowns. He now owns the most seasons in NFL history with at least 1,500 rushing yards and 15 rushing touchdowns. There is no slowing this guy down. How do you use him tonight against the Steelers' run defense?
Well, as great as his regular season was, this is why he's here, right? It's for these opportunities here to be in the playoffs and to be the guy that leads the way. You know, Lamar Jackson is obviously the star of this team in terms of generally his play dictates how things go. But the reality of it is the Baltimore Ravens want to run the ball first and be dominant and physical up front. It makes everyone's job easier. So if the big fellas up front can get going, and if they're not able to touch Derrick Henry before he gets to those linebackers, it's going to be tough sledding for the Steelers team. It's going to be a physical game. It's cold. No one wants to tackle someone that's the size of a defensive end out there. But I think when you talk about the impact he can have on this game, I think this will be the night where everyone realizes the regular season was awesome, but this is why he's a Raven.
I love it. Well, it's a huge game tonight. Ravens, Steelers, and Garrett, how's the sideline feeling for this huge wild card matchup?
Well, the stars come out in the playoff, Shelby. There's no doubt about that. You can feel the energy down here on the sidelines, and it's a who's who cast of former players and celebrities who are here at this game. I'm just looking around here. Standing next to me is Hall of Famer Jonathan Ogden. I saw Steve Smith patrolling the sidelines just a few minutes ago. Had a chance to catch up with him, and he's also up for the Hall of Fame this year. Of course, today's legend of the game is Terrell Suggs, who's eligible for the Hall of Fame as well as a first-time eligible player, so he's here as well. And then you look around, there's 2 Chainz over here on the Ravens sidelines, as I just was talking with the guys from All Time Low as well. Of course, a local band. They're doing halftime of today's game. They're fired up and excited about that. So you got legends, you got celebrities. There's a little bit of everything here for this game. And I did have a chance a little bit earlier to make my way. There's this big J.O. right there. And I had my chance earlier before the game to make my way around Ravens Walk. And I can tell you that the energy for this game is better than any game I've seen so far this year. I think the last time I've seen an environment quite like this was last year's AFC Championship, of course, that was hosted here in Baltimore. So there's real energy in the atmosphere tonight, and I think that is going to have an impact on tonight's game.
Well, thanks so much, Garrett. And unfortunately, the Ravens offense will be missing some of their energy tonight. No Zay Flowers in this one. He hurt his knee last week. Hopefully, Ravens win tonight and we can see him eventually on this playoff run. But this is going to be a lot of opportunities for these other Ravens wide receivers. You have Rashad Bateman, had career highs in receiving yards and touchdown receptions. Nelson Aguilar, it's his 9th consecutive season with multiple reception scores. Devontae Walker, Tylan Wallace. So the Ravens are 6-0 when Flowers has under 35 receiving yards this season. The offense put up at least 28 points in all 6 of those games. Now, I am not saying that it's going to be easy without Zay Flowers because the defense, it's one less thing the defense has to focus on. His absence is still significant, but the Ravens can still win this game without him. How?
Absolutely, and the main reason why is that this is a team, right? This Ravens offense isn't built around one person making the passing game go. I mean, the fact that we're talking about Zay is a testament to what he's been able to do, but there's also a guy there by the name of Mark Andrews, right, who was the man for the longest period of time. You have Rashad Bateman, who you see right there on your screen, who has had a phenomenal year, and his usage may go up, but it also may not. This has always been an offense that simply balances things out. You just have to be ready when your opportunity presents itself, and that's what I expected to see today. I don't necessarily anticipate Bateman all of a sudden getting 8 more targets because Zay isn't there. Is it possible? Sure, but I don't anticipate that happening simply because that's not how this team is built. This team isn't built on simply getting guys the ball. You were able to do that with Zay a little bit with screens, but otherwise this offense, Lamar's going through his reads, and he's putting the ball in the spot where the coverage tells him to go. Oftentimes there's teams that their offense is like, hey, we have to get this guy X amount of touches. This offense does not work that way. It happens that way. Sometimes it's been multiple times this year where it was a Nelson Aguilar game or a Rashad Bateman game or an Isaiah Likely game, and it wasn't necessarily Zay. So that balance for this team is really going to pay dividends today without Zay being in, and it does hurt. I hurt for him because there's nothing like watching Zay Flowers running that field, smiling, having a good old time, and knowing how hard he works and how he's earned everything that's been given to him this season. But this team is going to be fine today. Then this offense will continue to roll.
Well, that's what we got to do. We got to win and get Zay Flowers back, right?
Absolutely.
Well, the Ravens are 8-0 when Rashad Bateman has scored a touchdown this season. So, Garrett, how is Bateman feeling about a potentially larger role tonight?
Yeah, I think Bateman's ready for it. I mean, this is a guy who he has always had confidence in his ability, and I think that over the years he's had it up and down over start to his career, but he's really grown into his own. This is the best season of his career, and where he's made his headway this year particularly has been inside the red zone. He knows how to get open and find that soft spot in the coverage, and what I think has separated him this year is that he's, of course, been able to be healthy. That's been the challenge for him earlier in his career, but he's been healthy throughout the season, and then that's allowed him to practice consistently and build that chemistry with quarterback Lamar Jackson. He and Lamar have really elevated the trust factor I think that the two of them have and the feel for where Bateman is going to be. Now, there's going to be more pressure on his shoulders in this game tonight, knowing that Zay Flowers isn't out here. And so how does he handle the extra attention, maybe getting double covered at times where it would be Zay Flowers who would get double covered previously. But I think he's ready. And something that really stands out to me when you talk to Rashad Bateman, everybody's asking him, there's more on your plate this week. How are you going to handle it? There's more pressure, all that stuff. Bateman's response is, it's no different. I always expect to be able to go out there and make plays. I consistently know that teams are going to scheme against me. And so he has always had confidence in his ability, and he's not looking at tonight like some big opportunity or some new challenge. He just feels like if he goes out there, he plays his game, then this Ravens offense is going to be successful, and he is going to be a big piece of that equation.
Fans' pregame warm-ups are presented by Merit Athletic Clubs. Well, the quarterback on the other side for the Pittsburgh Steelers tonight, Russell Wilson, he has not won a playoff game since January 5th, 2020. The Steelers have lost 4 straight playoff games, and I know the Ravens are hoping to keep that streak going tonight and spoil the Steelers season and have them go home and the Ravens advancing. But Russell will have to face 2 pretty good cornerbacks tonight in Marlon Humphrey, all-pro Marlo, by the way, and Nate Wiggins. Marlon Humphrey, we just mentioned it. He's a 2024 Pro Bowler and all-pro. Has a team best, career high, and AFC best 6 interceptions this year, including 1 pick 6 against this team the Ravens are facing tonight. And then you have Nate Wiggins, who is the youngest player in franchise history to record a pick 6. He got that last weekend, his first career interception in the NFL, took it to the house, and Nate had 3 interceptions in college. 2 of them were pick 6s. So 4 interceptions, that's 75% of his interceptions in college and the NFL have led to scores, have led to touchdowns. So with these two, Marlon Humphrey and Nate Wiggins, the Ravens have the top 2 outside cornerbacks in allowing the lowest passer rating. How do they fare tonight against Russell Wilson?
Well, you're going to have to make sure that you're able to disrupt his receivers' timings. Russell Wilson is one of the best deep ball throwers in the game when he's in rhythm. And so you have to make sure he doesn't have the opportunity to get guys like George Pickens, who does a great job of tracking the ball, that you don't allow him to get those big plays to get in the rhythm. It's really going to boil down to the big fellas up front. I always say, if you show me a good defensive line, I'll show you great corners. And when you have a group that exists like the Ravens, where they actually do have very skilled corners, and the defensive line is all about being on the same page. You can't let Russ get out of the pocket. That seems to be when he's at his best. And you can't give up the big plays where he's just throwing it up and letting his guys go get it. And I think Marlon's built for that challenge today. You know, George Pickens was not playing the last time they played. He's a very talented receiver. But I think this team will be ready for that challenge. And, you know, Marlon is definitely ready for it. I've never seen a player warm up in a tank top to get ready for a game. So I think Marlon's going to be ready to roll.
Locked in, and let's give this defense their flowers, right? In the last 8 weeks, the Ravens have gone from being ranked in the bottom of the league in almost every category to top of the league. The major improvement to the pass defense because of personnel changes in the secondary. So worst to first in the last 8 weeks, that's significant. Could this be the most impressive midseason turnaround for a defense in NFL history?
Hey, why not? You know, I think they've done an amazing job all year just sticking to it, right? The players are taking accountability the entire season, and you knew it was only a lack of communication, being on the same page. That was the difference between being number one or being towards the back end, and that's all a part of the growth of the season. You have a young defensive coordinator in Zach Orr, who's done an amazing job leading this team with the passion. I actually saw him down there on the field earlier, and, you know, we greet each other each and every week. But I told him, I said, no, I need a chest bump for this one. You over here knocking your players over. I need to see that playoff energy. But to be able to watch this unit just gel together, anchor down, understanding that this offense is one of the best in the league, and they need to pull their weight. And they've done an amazing job, the coaches included, in getting them on the same page. And there's no secret as to why the Ravens are one of the best teams in the league right now.
Yeah, and these players love Zach Orr. So, Garrett, what can you say about the support those guys have shown Zio all season long?
Yeah, I think that, man, as I'm talking here, you see Roquan Smith in the middle of the huddle. I mean, there's no doubt that Roquan brings it every single week, but it seems like he's taking it to another level for the playoffs, and the fire he's spitting the fire right now. I mean, Roquan is fired up, and he's getting these guys ready to go. I love to see that, and that obviously got a big cheer from the crowd when they just showed that on the video boards. He's still rolling. Man, Roquan is fired up. So I think Roquan has been somebody, and you look at the entire defense and the leaders here. I look at Roquan Smith, I look at Marlon Humphrey, and I look at Kyle Hamilton as the three key leaders of this defense. And those are three players who really stood by Zach Orr earlier this season when the defense wasn't playing as well as they expected to be playing. And there was a lot of heat. There's a lot of questions on Zach and how is he going to handle this and what does it mean and why is the defense struggling, all this stuff. In the midst of all those questions, those key players stood behind him, and they were pretty vocal in saying, this isn't a coaching issue. This is something that we need to fix on our side, that we need to go out there and play at a higher level. And so when you have those team leaders taking that accountability, I think that really set the tone for the entire defense. And Zach did talk this week about how that was significant. You know, it meant a lot to him as a first-year defensive coordinator who's taken over for somebody who just became a head coach, and there's a lot of pressure on his shoulders. But even in the midst of those troubles, for the defense to have his back and the leaders to have his back, I think was something that really was significant to him, and he did say that this week. And I think there's no doubt, if you were to pull up the tapes, I think earlier this year, all three of us said, Shelby and Tori, that I have belief in Zach Orr's defensive coordinator. This is he was a really good player. He's been a really good coach, smart guy, fiery, passionate. Everybody respects him. And we're seeing him really develop and come into his own as a game planner, as a play caller on game days. And I think the Ravens have a great coordinator in Zio, and we're seeing the results of that. So he's going to have to prove it tonight, as of course, against a really talented Steelers team. But I like this Ravens defense and the direction that they are headed.
Thanks so much, Garrett and Tori. On the other side, there's a player on defense for this Pittsburgh Steelers team that is a game changer. He's a game wrecker. It's TJ Watt, obviously, in 16 games against the Ravens. He has 17 sacks. And this guy has not won a playoff game. You know he is going to be fired up for this one against his most hated rival. How do you contain a guy like TJ Watt and make sure Lamar can still be Lamar?
Man, I think TJ is one of the best players in the league, right? The same way we talk about Matabike and Lamar, like TJ Watt is, arguably the best player in his league on the defensive side of the ball. So you have to just slow him down. I think he's going to do what he does, right? He's going to win some battles, but you can't let him destroy the game. What I mean by that is you have to be able to chip him with your running backs, give your tackle some help. You have to be able to run at him to wear him out. But he's relentless. I think he's hungry. I think he wants to win. But the effort and the way he plays, he's very consistent. Again, you don't win defensive MVP if you're not one of those guys. And I love him. I think he's a guy that you would say plays like a Raven. He just has the wrong jersey on. But you just have to make sure you're not letting him wreck the game. And simply by helping him out, he's going to make some plays. Just don't let him dominate it.
Well, 17 sacks against the Ravens. But I will say, in 2024, in 2 games, he only has 1 sack. So Roger Rosengarten and co. are holding it down on the offensive line. And Tori, we talked to Haloti about playing the Steelers. You've played the Steelers a number of times. It's the playoffs. It's going to be chippy. It's going to be fun. What's it going to be like for those players down there tonight?
Man, it's going to be fireworks out there. Having the opportunity to play. It's cold outside, but it's not that bad. And, I think I'm a great judge of that because I hate being cold.
It's a little cold,
it's not,
it's a little cold.
They'll have the opportunity to go out there and shine. The wind isn't as bad as it was last week, so there's nothing that you're limited offensively, and even with the kickers as well, besides the ball kicking a brick. But I do think when you talk about this team, this energy, this environment, like I was watching Roquan get that speech, and I'm not a person that feels like, man, I wish I was out there. I was like, man, I wish I was in that huddle right now. Just because you know what comes with the playoffs, but also just this rivalry, it's a little bit different to be here, to watch the fans and the way they're fired up about it, and to watch this team that deserves this moment that they're in. To see that they can go out there and be who they're supposed to be. That's the challenge of it. You go all year long, there's an entire journey, and then you hit the reset button when the playoffs. Doesn't matter what you did before. Doesn't matter how good you were or how bad you were. It's about being your best right now. And, again, there's nothing like the playoffs, and I think this Ravens team is in as good a position as you could possibly be at this point. I think they have the right leaders, and I think they're going to go out there and shine today.
Well, I'm kind of surprised we didn't roll the audio on that Roquan speech because I'm sure it was all family-friendly and totally appropriate for this show. Tori, if you were leading the huddle tonight, what would you have said to those guys down there?
Oh, man, just live in the moment. I think oftentimes you're so focused on what's going on that you can try to think ahead, or like you have to feel you got to be a hero. You don't have to be a hero. You just got to do your job, right? Enjoy it. And I'm saying that from a very privileged perspective because when I was a rookie, I just assumed everyone just gets to go to the playoffs at some point in their career. There's some guys, this is their first playoff game.
Yeah.
Right? And they've been vets in this league. So it's a completely different mindset. And, just be grateful for that moment and then go out there and be who you are. You don't have to, Cam Newton used to always say, you don't have to do anything special to be special. Right? And I think this team right here fits that when you have a group that has the ability to play as a team. You don't have to overthink it because of the playoffs. You have the opportunity to be a part of some legendary moments, but that's who you are anyway, right? You got to be ready to make the play when it's there. And again, this team is going to be ready. I feel really good about where they are.
Garrett mentioned there are a lot of legends in the house tonight. Terrell Suggs, Haloti, Steve. Does that add anything when you're a player, knowing that there are some greats in the building watching you tonight?
Yeah, man, I think about being down on the field a little bit earlier before we came up here for the show. We had the opportunity. Before we came up here for the show.
Live television, we love it.
Before we came for the show, I had the opportunity to be down there with those guys, right? So it's like a reunion of sorts. But then also you're able to see the players and, they're seeing some of the guys that they've known for years and some of the guys they look up to. You got Steve Smith and these guys, so it's a completely different ball game. And for me, it meant a lot to me to be down there earlier, to see Steve Smith, who's like a big brother to me, to see Haloti Ngata, who's like a big brother to me. And we didn't talk about it, but Haloti Ngata and Sam Cook, who's he's our assistant special teams guy, they were my Uber drivers when I played here. So we would drive together to every game. And being a young player in this league, having Sam and Haloti to talk to about life, to talk to them about family, to talk to them about marriage and so many different things. It meant the world to me coming up. So to have the opportunity to see those guys down there, it was truly special. And again, it's all because of what these guys have been able to accomplish on the field as to why we're all here. And I'm looking forward to a beautiful night of Baltimore football.
All right, fans. Well, the Ravens beat the Steelers here at home in Week 16. So what's it going to take for them to do it again tonight 3 weeks later? We'll let you know in our keys to the game right after this break.
For me, football is about being part of something bigger. I was drafted to this team, ready to help Baltimore fly to new heights and pursue the one goal we all have. That's why I play for you. A flock that's become like family. Together, we can make our city proud.
You got to crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up.
Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up. Crank it up.
It's the perfect blend of flavor and heat. I put that on everything.
Mark Andrews here. Probably not the tight end you were expecting in a USAA commercial. My grandpa, he was in the military. He joined USAA, passed membership to my parents, who gave it to me. So I'm in. Are you?
Welcome back to Pregame Live. It's Wild Card Weekend, and we have division foes facing off at M&T Bank Stadium. It's the first time the Ravens and the Steelers have matched up here at the bank in the playoffs, and we are pumped for this one. And Garrett, all night we've talked about this defensive turnaround for Zach Orr's unit. How do they keep that going tonight against division rival Steelers?
Yeah, I think first and foremost, you look at this game and it's Ravens Steelers, it's playoff football, it's AFC North. So what's the key? How do you win these games? I go back to the fundamentals here, and I think you start with dominating in the trenches and winning the line of scrimmage. The Ravens need to continue to dominate against the run game. They've been the best run defense in the league all season long as the defense. They need to continue that in this game. Secondly, a matchup to watch in this game is George Pickens, a Steelers talented wide receiver, against Brandon Stevens. The Steelers, if they're going to have success in this game, I think it's going to be because they would take some deep shots down the field. Their general model of offense is run, 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 establish that running game, and then take the deep shots. That's what Russell Wilson is really skilled at, and George Pickens is really skilled at that as well. So Brandon Stevens, he's played well this year, and it's going to be a challenge for him to cover George Pickens in some of those situations. The Ravens are certainly confident in Stevens, and I think that he'll be able to hold up in those spots. And then also, I think the Ravens pass rushers, they have two guys that got double-digit sacks this year, Kyle Van Noy and Odafe Oweh. Those two players have really ramped it up as the season has turned into December and January, and I think that they will have an opportunity in this game to get after Russell Wilson and disrupt things for the Steelers offense. And then one last quick note. Something we haven't mentioned at all in covering tonight's game that I think could end up being an important factor. I think we could see two quarterbacks tonight for the Steelers. There's potential for Justin Fields, who's the backup quarterback, to see some action. When you go back to the first game these two teams played, Justin Fields was used in some key situations in short yardage, 3rd and short, 4th and short. I think that that's at a minimum going to happen tonight, and the Steelers could even look for more opportunities to use him in tonight's game. Zach Gore said this week the Ravens are prepared for that, and I think that is absolutely important because he's the difference maker, and he changes things offensively for them, so the Ravens are prepared to potentially see two quarterbacks tonight.
Thanks so much, Garrett and Tori. Lamar Jackson had his best game by far against the Steelers just 3 weeks ago. How does he have a similar performance tonight?
And it starts first and foremost with simply protecting the football. This Baltimore Ravens offense is unbelievable, and the only way they get slowed down is when they shoot themselves in the foot. So you have to go out there and protect the football first and foremost. Derrick Henry, This is why he was brought here to be a Raven.
Yep.
Not to break all these regular season records. It was to dominate here in the playoffs. You had to get him going early. Let him get his touches. Let him get his feel for the game, because when it gets to the second half, that's when his impact will be his biggest. And also, MV3. All right?
Here we go
Lamar
again.
Jackson. This is the perfect opportunity for him to show everyone who he is, for the folks that have been missing out or that have been watching games all year with their eyes closed. He just has to let the game come to him. Lamar's at his best when he's playing free, when he's making plays with his feet, like his mom said, and he's running around, simply taking the throws that are there, not forcing things. When he's comfortable and playing that way, this offense is unstoppable, and he's unstoppable. Those three things happen today, the Ravens will win.
I have one more key to add. I don't know if this is allowed, but I'm going to anyway. I think a fast start on both sides of the ball is going to be crucial. The Steelers have not scored on their opening possession in 19 straight games. That dates back to last season. And on the other side, the Ravens have scored a touchdown or a field goal in 7 opening possessions so far this season. Also, the Steelers have been outscored 56-0 in the first quarter in their last 4 playoff games. They've also lost those 4 playoff games. So I think if the Ravens can get off to a hot start, some 3-and-outs, and have Lamar Jackson take this team down and score, I think that's going to be crucial in this game. Build a lead, because the Steelers do make halftime adjustments on their opening possession. In the second half, the Steelers have scored 3 touchdowns and 6 field goals so far this year. So I don't know if that was allowed, but that's my key to the game.
I mean, it's a great key to the game because it's reality, right? You're talking about a team right now. The Ravens have been trending up. The Steelers have been trending down. None of that has anything to do with this playoff game today, right? They had the opportunity to hit that reset button just like every other team in the playoffs. And you have to, with a team that is saying they're confident, but in the back of their mind, they know they've been struggling, you need to make them get to the point as a team where they're like, oh, here we go again, right? And the Ravens can control that by making this offense have to go work, right? Forcing a turnover early, running and dominating with Derrick Henry and letting Lamar break their spirit by picking up first downs that he shouldn't make. That's what you have to do. You have to put a little bit of doubt in their mind, because this Steelers team is very well coached by Coach Tomlin, right? They're going to be prepared for this moment. You have to make sure you put doubt in their mind by the way you go out there and perform and dominate. And that way they can lose their confidence and this team can get steamrolled.
I'm not blaming Torrey, but the wind has definitely picked up since Torrey said the wind isn't bad. So I'm just...
It definitely has.
Yeah, it 1,000% has picked up. Well, we have Lamar Jackson, your 2024 first-team All-Pro, going up against Russell Wilson tonight, a veteran. He's won a Super Bowl. He knows what it takes. Russell Wilson with a 9-7 playoff record. It's been talked about a lot. Lamar Jackson, 2-4 in the postseason. What do you expect to see out of these two quarterbacks tonight with the season on the line?
I think I expect to see Lamar at his best. I'm not a person that falls into the narrative of Lamar has to win a playoff game. Or Lamar Jackson is the best football player in the league, okay? He's going to play well in whatever environment he's in. It has nothing to do with the playoffs being any different. I think he's going to be ready to play. But for Russ, it's about not letting him get in the rhythm, because Russell Wilson can be a very dominant player when he's in that mode. He just hasn't had the opportunity to reach that level multiple times this year. But this team, before that losing streak, was an offense that was looking like, hey, this is why we brought Russell Wilson here. So hopefully, and I hate saying this against Russell Wilson because he's a fellow Virginia boy myself. We've been cool since high school, right? But the reality of it is we can't allow Russell Wilson to be himself running around making plays. The same way we admire Lamar making plays with his feet, making plays down the field, Russell Wilson has that same ability. You have to keep him bottled up so that therefore you can eliminate their confidence on offense as well.
Well, fans, when the Ravens win tonight, there is a chance we will be back at home next weekend if the Bills lose tomorrow against the Broncos. But just in case this is our last show of the year, just want to say thank you to everyone out here on set and everyone behind the scenes in the control room who make this show possible. Thanks to all the legends who joined us all season and shared stories about their time in the league. And, of course, thanks to the fans, the ones who watch from home, and, of course, the ones who joined us each and every week out here. You guys make this show so much fun. So on behalf of myself, Tori Smith, and Garrett Downing, thank you so much to everyone who supports this show and makes it happen. We'll hope to see you next week in the divisional round of the playoffs. It's almost time for playoff football here in Baltimore. It's prime time under the lights. It's going to be electric, so hopefully we are back next week. But just in case, one more thanks for a memorable year of Pregame Live, and let's go get that Lombardi trophy.